thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com, and today we're going to be talking about the fan theories of Scooby-Doo. Before we begin, I'll have everybody introduce themselves, and Alexa, we'll start with you.
Hello, I'm Alexa Lawlor, and I'm the host of the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast.
Joel?
Hey there, I'm Joel from the YouTube channel Planet Scooby.
Wendy?
Hi guys, I'm Wendy BRYDGE. I'm a commissioned artist and a 30+ year Scooby-Doo collector.
And Cameron?
Hey guys, Cameron here. I run Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too. I've just been a big Scooby-Doo fan, Scooby-Doo collector, and I'm just really happy to be here. So thanks for having me, Nikki.
Thanks for being here. This is going to be an interesting conversation talking about the different fan theories of Scooby-Doo. There are some pretty crazy fan theories out there. We got the list from a mentalfloss.com article, and most of these came from different people on Reddit who have different theories about Scooby-Doo. The first theory is Scooby was bred to be a test subject for the Soviet space program. And in general, the theory is that Scooby started his life as a subject in the space agency's breeding program, but escaped when one of the scientists bonded with him as a puppy and decided to take him to America when he defected. Then, maybe Scooby ran away when his original owner died of old age, leading to him being adopted by his future best friend Shaggy, who took Scooby with him when he joined Fred, Velma, and Daphne on their meandering travels through the back roads of America. He has a speech impediment because he's smart enough to learn English, but his mouth can't form words perfectly. And the title Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Is a reference to the CIA searching for him. So, Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby being bred for the Soviet space program?
Okay, see, this is the problem I had with almost all of the theories is that they are lacking in one very important thing. Now, you all know, anyone who watches the panels knows that one of the things I love about Scooby is that it's generic enough that you can use your imagination and you can imagine whatever you want. And I still advocate for that. I'm not going back on that. You can imagine whatever you like. But even your imagination should have some root in logic, meaning if we know that your theory is based on BS and we can disprove it, it's not much of a theory, okay? So also from the article, there was one other line that I copied down. They said, how and why does Scooby-Doo talk? Some fans think that he can't really speak, that it's just something his buddy Shaggy imagines when he's high. Which also seemed like, wow, guys, like, okay. How do I know this is baloney? This is assuming that Scooby is the only dog that can talk. When in reality, we have 50 years, including classic Scooby-Doo, where we have all of these family members of Scoobies, Mumsy Doo, Daddy Doo, there's great grandpa Scooby, granddad Scooby, Ruby, Dee, Yabba, Dum, Scrappy, Whoopsie, Dixie, and Dooby Doo. And guess what, guys? They can all talk. Are you telling me that they all went to space on a Russian spacecraft? You know what I mean? Like, guys, it can't work because we already know that Scooby's entire family can speak. So right there, your theory is completely invalid. I'm sorry. I can't even really give you like props for using your imagination because again, it can't work. It's baloney. It can't. And I know we have touched on Scooby's speech impediment before, but I just would like to say Scooby doesn't have a speech impediment. He's a dog. That is his speech impediment. He is a dog. So I don't think there's anything special about the way that he talks. He's a talking dog, but I don't think it has anything to do with the Russians. Like, I think we need to stop blaming the Russians for everything. And unless his entire family going back generations, which it is generations because great grandpa Scooby, that's over 100 years old. They weren't going into space 100 years before. So that blows your theory just completely out of the water. I'm sorry.
I did write down about the other cartoon dogs that came before Scooby-Doo that could talk. Astro, Hong Kong Phooey, Huckleberry Hound, Droopy, just to name a few. So yeah, it just, that whole thing just doesn't make sense, because were those dogs in the space program too? You know?
Good point. Mm-hmm.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby being in the Soviet space program?
Out of all the theories, and I'm trying to have fun with all of these theories, so I'm kind of probably injecting more of my thoughts than what they wrote. So forgive me if I misquote these theories, but out of all the ones, I thought this one, they put the most thought into, to some degree. I guess they're going to Soviet training because Man on the Moon, 1969, Where Are You came out in 1969. So that's where you kind of get that parallel. And I guess, you know, during World War II, they did train dogs to blow up tanks. They'd strap bombs to these dogs and tell them to chase after tanks. And they did that with dolphins too, with boats. So we've used animals in the past. But I also don't, they say in this article that they wanted Scooby to operate controls. And that doesn't really fly with me. I don't think you could ever train a dog to do that. But they said they bred the dogs continuously. So I don't know. But I think when they just sent the dogs up, they just strapped them to a chair and just had them come down within, you know, a day or whatever, just to see if they could survive whatever was out in space. So yeah, I don't really have much to add. I'm going to agree with what everyone has to say about these theories. I'm just having more fun with it because they are interesting to some degree, but I don't subscribe to any of them. I just think like what Wendy said and what you said, Nikki, talking dogs, cartoons, we've had it before, nothing too special about it. But also wanted to mention too, I'm just going off on all these different tangents. Scooby Apocalypse. I've been reading that comic book lately, and this one has parallels to that, where Scooby was part of some sort of lab experiment. I don't want to spoil anything if anyone hasn't read it, but there's parallels between that and Scooby Apocalypse. And I'll shut up now. That's all I have to say.
And this definitely was the one that they put the most thought into. And I should mention the mighty Heptagon was the person on Reddit who came up with this theory 7 years ago. So you were talking about the dogs, and there were dogs that they used to send dogs to space, and Laika was a stray female. She was the first animal in space and the first to orbit the Earth. She was launched into space in Sputnik 2 on November 3rd, 1957, but she died within hours of overheating. And then on August 19, 1960, Belka and Strelka, along with a gray rabbit, 42 mice, 2 rats, flies, and several plants and fungi, were launched into space on Sputnik 5, and they were the first Earth-born creatures to survive in outer space. So they have used dogs in space, but it still doesn't explain why Scooby would be from the Soviet space program. Alexa, what are your thoughts on that?
My main question is, this hypothetical scientist, why would he teach Scooby English? Like, wouldn't it be Russian?
Good point.
That he would understand and know? And in the second article that you had sent us, the person writing the article mentioned that the theory actually doesn't hold up if you look at it from a pup named Scooby-Doo. And they wanted to add that they thought that if this theory was actually proven, that a pup named Scooby-Doo would be like all of Scooby-Doo's imagination, or like just a dream. And I hate that trope that it's like, oh, that didn't actually happen. It was all a dream. So yeah. It's not, I don't know. it's not my favorite theory, but it is one that they put the most thought into, I think, for sure.
You do make a very good point that, yes, why would they teach Scooby English? Yeah. Cameron, what are your thoughts on Scooby being part of the Soviet space program?
I'm sorry. I just think it's a it's a dumb theory that was made up with someone who had too much time on their hands. So just basically how it goes. Yeah, from what Alexa said, I mean, that's what my first thought was, with pup named Scooby-Doo, and then some people could argue me and say, hey, there's a Scooby-verse, Cam, and pup named Scooby-Doo may not be in the same universe as Be Cool, and Be Cool may not be in the same universe as a Scooby Apocalypse. And I do agree that there is a Scooby-verse because different iterations of Scooby-Doo don't connect with other iterations of Scooby-Doo. I do agree with that, but and I from being on these, how many panels I've been on, I've had people call me bland and plain and boring, but I always just stick back to how clean Scooby-Doo and how pure he was. I mean, Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera just one day came up with this amazing idea, along with Iwa Takamoto and everybody else that had their hands dipped in Scooby-Doo and just brought him to life. I think that just leave it at that. Where did Scooby-Doo come from? Him and Shaggy just started walking on a road and they came upon a hollow, knight armor, just sitting in a truck. That's how Scooby-Doo started. Why can't we just leave it there? But we got to go back and we have to try to make stories up. And I'm sorry, but I mean, if it's not official, if it's not an official story, I've just never entertained it. I mean, I've heard theories off the wall. Some people saying that Scooby-Doo is an alien. I don't know. I never, I never entertained those ideas. But yeah, I just think it's best way to put it, like Wendy, it's baloney. So I don't. Last time I think I said something baloney, I was in third grade. But yeah, it's baloney.
The Scooby-Doo being an alien theory did not make this list. So
there you go.
I didn't really do any research on that one, but I mean, Scooby-Doo as an alien doesn't really make sense to me.
No.
Because why would he have to be an alien just because he's a talking dog? He is a cartoon that was made by people, and they made him that way because they knew that kids could relate to him. They knew that if he talked but didn't talk in complete English, that kids would relate to him even better, and they would fall in love with him forever because he's a talking dog. Who doesn't like a talking dog? But an alien, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. If Scooby had been an alien, I think he would have left with Amber. I mean, come on.
Where you
And how much I would hate that. I would hate that so much. But I mean, come on. He would just be like, okay, time to go roam. And now off they would go and they live happily ever after in space. Probably on some Russian space station. Obviously, we might as well throw all the theories together. I mean, that's what we should do. We should have Bradford take all of the fan theories and make one story. But it has to have Scooby and Amber, and I can't believe I'm saying that. What is wrong with me? I haven't been drinking, I promise. But
BTW,
you know what I mean?
Wendy, that's the best Scooby impersonation I think I've ever heard. So
Thank you.
I just want to go.
Thank you very much. I'm available for parties.
Good. I was going to ask you that question. Oh my gosh.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby being an alien?
It makes me think of Mystery Incorporated. And I haven't watched Mystery Incorporated in a while, so I don't remember what they did with it. But Nova was some type of, I don't know. I can't remember what exactly they called her, but some type of weird science fiction-y type stuff there. So I guess, but yeah, no, I don't think so.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby being an alien?
Yeah, that one I don't buy either. I guess if you're a fan of Hanna-Barbera, you have all these kind of otherworldly TV series that they had that didn't take place on Earth, and all these characters sometimes came to Earth, and I don't know, maybe that's where they're getting it from, like the human, I forget all the shows, the Space Ghost and Herculoids. I don't think they took place on Earth, and they were alien. So maybe there's those fans kind of made those parallels way back when, but yeah, I don't really buy the alien thing at all.
All right, our next theory is Scooby-Doo takes place during an economic depression. And this theory comes from Random Dog on Reddit. This is from 8 years ago. And basically, they were saying all the mysteries take place in theme parks, rundown hotels, abandoned airfields, museums, and mines that are all deserted. Shaggy and Scooby mostly eat dog treats and get extremely excited when they find real food, and they eat it like there may not be another meal. The villains are typically highly intelligent scientists, engineers, real estate moguls that shouldn't have a hard time making money, but typically that's what they're doing. They're trying to make money, or they're trying to purchase something cheap. Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby taking place during the economic depression?
Yeah, I struggled with this one for a bit because at first I thought they meant like the 1920s depression. And then I put all this time and thought into that, and then I reread it and I'm like, oh, that's totally not it. So my thoughts basically is a lot of these places are deserted because these people, these bad dudes have dressed up as monsters and scared everyone away. So they can lower the property value and they can buy it up cheap and make even more money on top of their vaults of money they already own. So, and this, they mentioned like the theme park, and well, the theme park's deserted because they went there at night, at midnight. No one's going to any, no one's going to be there at night except Charlie the robot because he doesn't sleep. And yeah, this one, it's okay. It's kind of half-baked. Not even half-baked. It's like parboiled. It's like a limp lasagna noodle. It's just, I don't think they put a lot of thought into this one. And yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Oh my gosh.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on it taking place during a depression?
Yeah, my thought as well was like with the deserted town aspect, like, would you want to live in a town with a ghost haunting it? Like, I don't know. I feel like that would disrupt your sleep and like cause havoc to how you're making money. So, I mean, I would move out of a town that had a ghost in it. But like with all the people dressing up as ghosts to make, like, I don't know. What is their motive? Is it always money? Not always. Well, that's a question. Is it always money? I don't think so. But how does the gang have money to do all their traveling?
Right. What teenagers have money?
Yeah. And if it's in the middle of an economic depression, like they would just have all this money to travel and like for gas and stuff. Like, I don't think so.
Maybe they just enjoyed going to abandoned places because, I mean, who doesn't like to explore stuff like that? And those places just happen to be haunted. I mean, maybe that's why they're going to abandoned places, because they don't have money to do anything. So if they go to abandoned places, they don't have to pay for anything and they can just look around and see what's there.
Yeah.
Cameron, what are your thoughts on Scooby taking place during an economic depression?
One thing I will, I've got to have an open mind about these things because when you say the theory, I'm like, that's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. But I'm like, people are watching. Make it entertaining, Cameron. The one thing you did say kind of did make sense. If some of these like bad guys under the mask are like scientists and like really great engineers and like these really like high like well endowed realtors, then they shouldn't have a problem getting a job if the economy, if we are going to entertain this. But if y'all do stop, and I mean, and this is just me, I mean, I geek out on stuff like this, but go back to the Scooby-Doo show from the high rise razor. Am I saying high rise?
Hair
you.
raiser.
Thank you. I'm sorry. High rise hair raiser. Thank you. They get jobs. The girls go look for clues, and Fred, Shaggy, and Scooby legitimately get jobs with this one guy. And he's like at the construction site, and that's where the ghost is haunting the construction site. So they legitimately get jobs because they need money. And so it's always kind of stuck with me a little bit because everybody's always had, and here's another theory, everybody's always had that theory that Daphne's dad bought the Mystery Machine and has always funded them because Daphne's come from a well background. We really don't know that until we kind of get to maybe more like a pup named Scooby-Doo, and we see Daphne come from like a super rich family where a butler comes to her rescue when she snaps her fingers. Sorry, I still get tickled by that. But the whole point is that Alexa, just when she brought that up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna jump into that because you're right. Like the gang does drive around everywhere. And sometimes heck, they go over to different islands and how they get money to get boats. And so you start to think about those little things and stuff. But yeah, like that's one thing. I think Hanna-Barbera kind of threw that in there because some people are probably thinking to themselves, how is Mystery Incorporated like funding themselves to go around like basically the whole United States and then sometimes all around the world if they're teenagers basically. So let's throw in an episode where they get jobs. So on the high rise hair raiser, I enjoyed that bit where Freddie and Shaggy actually stepped up and said, hey, we're gonna eat some food and put some gas in the Mystery Machine. Hey, let's go to work, So I guess you can kind of entertain that idea a little bit like that. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby taking place during an economic depression?
Okay, not to pick fly crap off the wall, but the line in this theory that really like irked me was, it says a classic Scooby-Doo mystery might take place at a theme park, museum, or mine, so long as it's grimy or deserted. Okay, excuse me. Foul Play in Funland. Funland was not grimy. And like Joel said, it's closed. This is so much the point. These places are closed. It is nighttime. Criminals work at night. Criminals do not come out during the day when there's people around. So it's not deserted. It's closed. The museum in What a Night for a Night. It is not grimy. There is nothing grimy about any of these places, okay? The Wax Museum in Don't Fool with a Phantom. There's nothing grimy or deserted about it. People, what are you talking about? Okay, you have to think about these theories before you go spouting them off on the internet. And I honestly feel like nobody's thinking about this. Like I'm sure that the people that are coming up with these theories are the people that don't actually watch Scooby, so they don't know anything. And that's kind of the irony of it. Like, why are you even putting energy into this? Clearly, you're not a fan because you haven't watched it. Because if you had watched it, you would know how absolutely ridiculous you sound right now. Like, you sound so stupid. I'm sorry, but you really, really do for anyone who has seen any amount of Scooby-Doo. But I did take exception to this idea that all these places are like grimy, because I'm someone that likes things to be clean. And one thing I've always noticed about Scooby is, yes, sometimes there are cobwebs, but cobwebs are usually restricted to haunted castles that are legitimately deserted, like in Hassel in the Castle. Okay, nobody's living there except for this creepy old magician, and he's not actually living there. He's doing something criminal. He's a criminal. He doesn't care about whether it's dusty or dirty or whatever. But these museums do not tell me that there is not a cleaning crew in the museum cleaning it up. We do not see cobwebs in the museums. So stop spreading that disgusting lie, because some of us like things that are clean. And I always appreciate when a museum or someplace like that is like, you know what, spick and span all the way, come public, give us your money, and we will show you something cool. There's no reason to believe that they were not doing that in Scooby-Doo. So take your griminess and I'll say it. But that's what I have to say about that.
Oh my God.
Our next theory is Mystery Inc. is a cult. And that comes from Radman on Reddit, posted 9 years ago. So the theory is that the Scooby Gang fits the mold of a cult and obsessively hunts for the supernatural in order to wreak horrible paranormal havoc on the world. Ultimately, their goal is to try to find a true monster or supernatural being and gain power over it. This was the part that really just got me. Maybe in universe, Mystery Inc. became the equivalent of the Manson family.
Oh my God.
So they broke down the gang members. Fred was the handsome and friendly leader who recruits groupies to follow his every command. Daphne, the fashionable, pretty one that follows the leader around. Velma, the brains, whose intelligence is useful, and being able to hang around Fred and Daphne, who are attractive, makes her feel accepted. And Shaggy, he talks to a dog, which could make him a deranged serial killer like the son of Sam, who claimed to have been obeying the orders of a demon manifested in the form of a dog belonging to his neighbor Sam. Although he later said that that was a hoax. So, Alexa, what are your thoughts on Mystery Inc. being a cult?
So in this case, is Scooby a demon then?
I guess if he's relating it to Son of Sam, yeah, I guess he would be saying that Scooby's a demon.
But just for some context, I looked up the definition of a cult, which is a religion or a religious sect generally considered to be extremist or false with its followers, often living in an unconventional manner under the guidance of an authoritarian, charismatic leader. I don't think that any of the gang members fit the boxes that that person has put them in. Like Daphne is not useless. She is resourceful and has her own way of doing things, which often happens to be in a danger-prone way, but like she still figures out clues and stuff. So she's not useless in just following Fred around. And I don't necessarily buy Velma as the outcast either, just because she likes books and studies. Okay. But like at what point can you just be friends and like go investigate haunted places and solve mysteries because you like doing that? And at what point does it cross the line into being a cult? And how many people do you need for a cult is an interesting question, because it's really only 4 people and a demon dog, apparently.
That was my thought. Like, how could it be a cult if it's only 4 people and a dog? Like, if Fred's whole job is, as the leader of this cult, is to get groupies to follow him, where are the groupies? No one is following them. So where
like,
are
wouldn't you
all
want
the
to try to
people?
recruit more people?
Right.
Which they aren't doing. They're not
No.
like, oh, you know, someone off the street, come and solve a mystery with us, and then we'll like indoctrinate you into our cults. Like, that's not how it works.
Oh my God.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Mystery Inc. being a cult?
Okay. As laughable as this is, I would like to just take a minute to say, once again, I feel like we are dealing with people who are spouting things off that they don't really know anything about, because I will watch pretty much anything that has to do with breaking down cults and things like that. I have probably seen every documentary that's ever been made about the Manson family, because a lot of these cults do their disgusting deeds under the guise of Christianity, and that pisses me off. I'm just going to say that right now. That makes me very, very, very angry. I don't like that. And so I have definitely spent a lot of time over, the course of 35 years learning about these people and what they're doing, so that I can tell other people, like, these people have nothing to do with my religion. Okay, you can do whatever you want in the name of whatever you want. Screw off. Okay, that's not how that works. Anyone who actually knows anything about the Manson family, I will admit it takes a lot to offend me. I am offended that anyone, whether it be serious or tongue-in-cheek, would ever think it was appropriate to compare Scooby and the gang to the Manson family. Okay, right now, if you are that person, shame on you, educate yourself. Because that's not, even in a joking manner, that is not appropriate for you to make that comparison. Okay, there is no comparison there. But my thing is, you know, they break down the characters, and like Alexa said, they don't fit in the boxes that this person's trying to put them into. The gang is literally the antithesis. Now, for these people that might be into these theories that don't understand big words, antithesis means the opposite of. The gang, the Scooby Gang, is the antithesis of the kind of people that join cults. Also the antithesis of the kind of people that start cults. Freddy is not Jim Jones, okay? Oh boy, they're both last name Jones. It's not funny. It's not funny. These cults kill people. Literally murder people. Do not make this comparison again. Stop that, okay? Velma would never, real life Velma would never in a bazillion years be enticed into a cult. Anyone who has watched Scooby and knows the kind of person that Velma is not a moron. Velma does not need anybody else's validation for her worth. Velma is who she is, and she's proud of who she is. She goes and she does what she needs to do. Velma would never join a cult, and neither would the others. And here's the big thing. Cults are generally negative. You know, even if they do things under the guise of goodness, what they're doing to each other and to other people is very, very bad. The one common denominator in every single episode of Scooby, classic Scooby-Doo, is the gang are going out and they are helping people and they are getting nothing in return. They are the good guys. Scooby-Doo is classic good versus evil, and good always wins. This is not a cult, especially in the very negative connotation that these people are using that term. You know? How can you even make this comparison? Like, it's so beyond reality that, like, I can't even find something to joke about it. It's that stupid. It's completely removed from reality. Okay? It just is. And to be honest, I think that trying to take a topic like that and make it into a fan theory for some kind of cartoon or whatever is actually quite detrimental, because not very many people are actually watching documentaries about these evil human beings that have walked the face of the planet. And you read like a Wikipedia article and you think that you're an expert. Well, excuse me, no, you're not. Number one, Wikipedia is a bunch of BS. And if you believe it, then I'm not surprised you're out there making these ridiculous fan theories, for one thing. But educate yourself before you come up with a theory. Do not offend Scooby and the gang, who are all about doing good, by suggesting that they're actually trying to do evil. If they were really trying to like harness demons and all that stuff, they would have told Vincent Van Gogh to shove it, and they would have been thrilled to open that box of demons. And they certainly would not have spent the next 12 episodes trying to put the demons back in the chest. So again, Scooby has already disproven your theory with the 13 ghosts, when they had every opportunity in the world to become these demonic warlords, and they didn't. Because they're the good guys, people. They're the good guys. They're not the villains. Stop trying to make them the villains, and shame on you for making that Manson Scooby-Doo comparison. That's disgusting.
Cameron, what are your thoughts on Mystery Inc. being a cult?
First and foremost, I think people out there who are making these like theories, like, get a life. I'm sorry to say it like that, but get a freaking life. I mean, if you make a fan theory that's like maybe like Velma's mom was a realtor, like in Scooby-Doo, or I don't know, something off the wall that's like that's not like harmful to Scooby-Doo. Like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But when you've got like these off the insane, just crazy theories like Shaggy's a stoner, or like that, the Mystery Inc. is a cult. Well, first and foremost, I'm not even going to entertain that idea. That's false. They're not a cult. Hanna-Barbera created 4 teenagers and a lovable dog to go around in a mystery machine and go help people, like Wendy said. They have been offered money. They have been offered land. Like I'm just saying, throughout every like iteration of Scooby-Doo, and they always give it back to the other person who needs it. And they leave that day with a smile on their face, knowing that they helped somebody. Cults don't do that. Cults don't go somewhere and help somebody then leave. Like they'll probably leave, but they'll leave like there's like disaster and tragedy and all that stuff. So Scooby Gang no, I'm sorry, it's not a cult. I'll be honest with y'all. Sometimes I just get a headache just when I hear these off the wall insane things about lovable cartoons. I mean, I don't understand what goes on in people's minds wanting to take something so pure and innocent and always having to make it like so adult and throw sex and violence and real life world problems into that. Like, I'll be honest with y'all, when everything that's been going on in the world lately, like, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to get deep on this panel, but like, I live in Texas. There was a mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas. It's an hour from where I live, and lots of kids died. And you're taking a children's cartoon and you want to start throwing it and try to make it adult? I'm sorry. I find that to be bullcrap. Like, stop. It's enough. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get deep on this panel, but I'm just saying, I mean, enough is enough, y'all. Scooby-Doo was created. I mean, we, on this panel today, us 5, we love Scooby-Doo with all our heart. Or Alexa wouldn't be doing podcasts. Wendy wouldn't be posting her amazing blogs. Nikki, you wouldn't be doing all the amazing things you do with ScoobyAddicts. And Joel, you wouldn't be doing all the things you do with Planet Scooby. We love Scooby-Doo very much, and my God, we're all grown adults, but we know what's right and what's wrong to go into Scooby-Doo. And I get this is just somebody just making up a fan theory and throwing it on Reddit, but still, it's to the point. I mean, just my God, I mean, how sick can your mind get? I don't know. You guys know me. I'm plain Jane Mary over here. I don't like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm probably gonna be one of those old men that's like, stop that, turn that music down. But the point is, though, is that I just like to keep things clean. So no, I will not. I repeat, I will not entertain the idea of the Mr. Inc. gang as a cult. They're 4 lovable friends with a lovable dog going around helping people. That's what Hanna-Barbera made. So,
Joel, what are your thoughts on Mr. Inc. being a cult?
I don't have much to add. I'm basically going to ride on the coattails of Cameron and Wendy here. This one is offensive to me. I'm no expert on cults, but I got a minor in psychology, and I worked with people in cults or survivors of cults, their family of cults for a term, intimately worked with them, spent hours with them per day, just discussing things. And I took a course on cults as well. And during that, we were exposed to all these various cults, cult members, cult survivors, family, friends. And you'd hear things that wouldn't even make Netflix documentaries or anything like that. You'd hear all these gruesome, gory details, and it's very tragic. It's very upsetting. And this one is offensive, especially the Manson thing too. Like, the people who were murdered, their family is still alive. It's always appearing in popular culture still. And it's just, I wish they just not keep showing this stuff in popular culture at all. So yeah, this is the worst theory for me. And yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, I think this is probably the worst one for me too. Like, whoever came up with this theory obviously does not know what a cult is. So our next theory is the gang are draft dodgers. And this was posted on Reddit by the mighty Heptagon 7 years ago. The theory is the show takes place in 1969, the year that it first came out. Fred's a draft dodger on the run. Daphne's his fiance. Shaggy's a nomadic hippie, and Velma's a campus activist. So my biggest thought on this one is the mystery machine. I'm sorry, but if you're running from something, you're not doing a very good job of it in a van painted in bright colors with flowers on it. So that theory does not make any sense to me. Cameron, what are your thoughts on the gang being draft dodgers?
What's a draft dodger? Can someone please answer me that? I mean, my God.
So basically, they're saying that Fred was supposed to go to war, and instead he's running. So he doesn't.
Oh, like draft off to the war. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought. I'm sorry, I was like a draft dodger. I'd be honest with you. I'm a little stumped on this one. I don't really think so, to be honest with y'all. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna really talk much on it because I'm just gonna say no, probably not. I wouldn't think. Yeah, and you're right. If he was going off to war, you're kind of putting yourself out there with a mystery machine. Oh, I'm so giggly tonight. I gotta quit being giggly. Yes, serious talk. Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna turn it over to other people and see what they have to say about it. So,
Wendy, what are your thoughts on the gang being draft dodgers?
Okay, another important line from one of the sites that had this same theory. As able-bodied men, seemingly over 18, Fred and Shaggy would both be eligible for the draft. Okay, right there, once again, theorists, you have disproven your own theory because Shaggy and Freddy are not over 18. Okay, they're just not. How do I know that? Because they're literally still going to school. Yeah, we don't see them go to school, but in Jeepers, It's the Creeper, it's a school barn dance. So now I almost said this and I was like, am I accidentally making a new ridiculous fan theory that some moron's going to run with? But I'm going to chance it. Unless the gang is actually a bunch of creeps who are like college age going to high school to like creep on the younger kids, which they're not. No one take that and turn it into a theory, please. Okay. They're still in high school. Now, granted, I do understand that it is possible for you to be 18 and still in grade 12. My birthday wasn't until August, so I was 17 when I graduated. But if your birthday was in January, February, March, all the way up till June, you could be 18. But I really don't think that they were over 18. Still in school. I'm not sure which episode it is. I forgot to look it up. I'm thinking that it's What a Night for a Night, but where they're jacking up the ladder outside for Shaggy to like go in the window. And Daphne says that Shaggy's the swingingest gymnast in school. Again, there's your proof that they're still school age kids. So they're not 18, meaning they are not eligible for the draft, meaning they are not draft dodgers, because there you go. And to be perfectly honest, if we want to like have like a serious answer for this theory, everything that we know about Scooby and the gang, particularly Freddy does not strike me as a man who would be a draft dodger. Okay. Now, I'm not going to speak to the fact that in Canada, we did not have a draft. We didn't have conscription in World War II. It was all voluntary, and I don't agree with conscription. I don't think that the draft is an okay thing. And I can understand draft dodgers because most of them were on their way to Canada because we didn't have it here. I fully understand that. However, I just feel like Freddy as a grown man, and Shaggy too, would not be doing that. I think that they would serve their country if that was what was demanded of them, because the Scooby Gang, the whole basis of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Is these kids going around helping people and they're getting nothing back from it. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're out having fun. I mean, how many times is someone coming to the gang for help directly? they're happening upon these instances of theft and robbery and these bad things, and they're giving of their time. Like, they don't have to be there. That's the point. They don't have to be doing any of the things that they're doing. They're choosing to do them. And so for that reason, I really just have a problem thinking that at that time period, you know, I get it. You know what, guys, I really hate how one cute painted up van kind of got them all branded as hippies. Because other than Shaggy's outfit and the way that he talks, which also was quite popular just at the time with people that weren't hippies, there's nothing hippie about the Scooby Gang. And I really think that we have done them a great disservice by promoting that term as being reflective of them, because, you know, it's fine and dandy for us to sit here 50 years later, and how many people look back and they're like, oh, Woodstock, yeah, man, what an awesome time. What a great time to be alive. When the reality is, if you were either there, which obviously we were not, but we have parents that are that age. I mean, I have a dad who lived through that BS period of time, you know. Hippies weren't great people. They were dirty and smelly and lazy. They were high all the time. They were a bunch of druggies. They were good for nothing. They were, you know what I mean? Lazy and useless. Again, antithesis of the Scooby Gang. They're nothing like that. Scooby and the gang are nothing like hippies. So again, as grown men, Shaggy and Freddy, I really don't see them ascribing to that hippie lifestyle and mentality. So even if they were draft age, I really can't imagine, speaking seriously, I really don't think that those characters being written the way that they were would be draft dodgers. So goodbye, theory. But it's irrelevant anyway, because they're not 18, so they wouldn't have been eligible anyway. So there you go. Your theory is no good.
Talking about them being hippies, the guy that works at my post office, he saw my return address label, and it says ScoobyAddicts. And he goes, oh, Scooby. Oh, they were a bunch of hippie surfers from California. And when I tried to say something to him, he was just like, no, you obviously haven't watched the show. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't know anything about Scooby-Doo. And
wow.
You should have took a sticker out, Scooby Addict sticker, and just slammed it on his forehead and be like, educate yourself. Walk away. Oh,
oh my gosh.
Joel, what are your thoughts on the gang being draft dodgers?
I've got nothing really to add to this one. I think everyone kind of so far said everything I would want to say. Like you, Nikki, mentioned why be in this colorful van trying to cross the border, and what Cameron said, what Wendy said. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Alexa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have much to add either. The only thing I meant to cross-reference against the Scooby Encyclopedia or something to confirm how old that says the gang is, but I'm pretty sure that none of them are 18.
Yeah, I don't think any of them were 18. I think Fred was 17 maybe, but I don't remember any of them being 18. Our next theory, Scooby snacks alter your genes. And this was posted 9 years ago by a Reddit user that has been deleted. The theory is that Scooby snacks are a genetic mutation device, or possibly a type of steroid that allow the user to break the laws of physics and their offspring. So, Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby snacks
Thanks,
altering
Nikki.
your genes?
Okay, number one, if that's true, whoever created them, man, you did a piss poor job, because number one, the effects don't last nearly long enough. The only thing that you get out of them is a relief from fear. I mean, if you're going to engineer something to make your life better and make you amazing, like, wow, you really missed the boat on that one, because even Popeye's spinach gets better results than Scooby Snacks does. You know what I mean? So I feel like you really wasted your time and made a fool of yourself if you're the one that engineered these amazing Scooby Snacks. Also, why will only Scooby and Shaggy eat them? The rest of the gang never eat Scooby Snacks. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, Scooby doesn't need these fancy Scooby Snacks, because when he is not under the influence of Scooby Snacks, Scooby can do pretty much anything. Scooby's tail can turn into a lock pick. It can turn into a key. It is super crazy strong, as we learned in Foul Play in Funland, where he picked up one of those hammers and like smashed the bell with it, like he rang the bell. Scooby doesn't need some kind of fancy Scooby snack to be able to do anything. He's already amazing. So again, you just wasted your time engineering these things. So what else can be said? I mean, I don't know what else to say to that. That might be the most ridiculous one on the list. Like, just completely stupid. I think that one might top the list for me for that.
Speaking of the word stupid, they mentioned in the theory that it makes them stupid. That like Scrappy tries to fight people that are bigger than him and Scooby is a chicken. Well, Scooby is afraid, but he's not afraid when you give him Scooby Snacks. So
Exactly.
I don't understand how it makes them stupid.
Yeah, it does. It's doing the opposite. So yeah, that doesn't really work. Also, have we ever seen Scrappy eat a Scooby snack?
I don't think so. Not that I can
I don't think so
recall.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby Snacks altering their genes?
Yeah, this one's a silly one because I always assumed Scooby Snacks were a commercial product available on shelves. And if that were the case, we'd have like, even if it was regional, we'd have all the dogs in California hopped up on Scooby Snacks and doing weird things. And eventually high school students are going to catch on to that, like they would with like doing whippets or cough syrup, and they'd use it to, you know, cheat with football games, and then it'd make it to the Olympics, and we'd have a ban on Scooby Snacks. So yeah, this one doesn't fly with me at all.
I love how Joel's coming up with his own theories over here. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby Snacks altering your genes?
For this one, I'm going to throw out all of the fan explanation and just flip it to Shaggy and Scooby-Doo get a clue. Because in that case, it works. It's true. Uncle Albert's secret formula makes Scooby invisible, and he makes him like really big, like 3 times his size, and whatever else it does. I don't remember all of them, but I'm gonna buy into that one based off of an actual show. But the fan explanation, I'm just gonna ignore all of that.
So one of the things that they mentioned was that it affects their offspring. But like Scooby doesn't have offspring. Scrappy
then
is
did
his
his parents?
nephew.
Yeah.
So like, how would that have worked? And did Scooby's parents eat Scooby Snacks?
Apparently, to make the theory work.
To make the based on the theory, his parents would have had to, his grandparents would have had to, his siblings would have had to. Yeah.
And according to a pup named Scooby-Doo, it is a commercial product. Scooby Snacks. There is a factory making them. You know? So yeah, I feel
Also,
like
in
none of
What's New
this.
Scooby-Doo too, they have a factory of Scooby Snacks.
Yeah. So yeah, I this is like, wow, guys, you're really reaching here with your theories.
Cam, what are your thoughts on Scooby Snacks altering their genes?
Before we do that, you said like Scooby-Doo doesn't have a litter of puppies. Remember when Warner Brothers made that insane theory on Scooby-Doo, Where Are You Now? Where they said like Scooby-Doo had an illegitimately like a litter of puppies, and then Scooby-Doo didn't even know about them. Oh, that irritated me so much. I still will not get over it. It's like, what? It's been like 7 or 8 months now, and I'm still not getting over it. Oh, no, I love what Alexa just said, to be honest with you. I did not go back to Scooby-Doo, excuse me, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. That's actually, that would work there. No, think about it this way. When a puppy or when a dog or even when a kid gets a snack or a treat, it kind of just boosts them up. It gives them a little bit of energy. I think that's just what it is. I mean, Scooby-Doo feels brave when he gets a Scooby snack. He gets a little snack. He feels a little energy. Let's go, be the bait. Let's go solve the mystery. Let's go, catch this bad guy, you can tell that this person who made this theory doesn't know Scooby-Doo much, because Scrappy-Doo has never ate a Scooby snack. And if somebody finds Scrappy-Doo eating a Scooby snack, please private message me and send it to me, because I've never seen that before. Maybe I've missed it. But and also think about too, Scrappy-Doo's trying to fight off villains. I mean, here's my thing. I just don't understand why people can't get their heads around that. He's a puppy. Puppies want to go, I mean, there's danger coming. Sometimes puppies just want to run into it. They want excitement and adventure. I mean, it's just how kids are too. I mean, kids always get into trouble. Puppies always get into trouble. You know what I mean? So, but going back to the Scooby snack theory, I agree with Wendy. I mean, I think this person's really reaching. I think it's Scooby snack. He gets a treat. He feels good about himself. Hey, let's go do it. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't know what else we can really say about it, to be honest with you.
Our next theory is Fred drives the mystery machine because the real owner is high. And this theory comes from Geraldine Grapes Grace on Reddit and from 5 years ago. So the theory is that Shaggy owns the van, but Fred drives it because Shaggy is a stoner. Shaggy lost his license for driving under the influence of drugs, or Fred thinks Shaggy's unfit to drive and would get them killed or pulled over. Joel, what are your thoughts on that?
I won't talk about this one too much either, because I just don't like the whole drug culture thing and messing with my Scooby-Doo. But I always took Scooby-Doo more like just a sign of its times. You had like the Brady Bunch, which had colorful cars. You had the colorful house. If you go back to Austin Powers, even, it was kind of in the 60s, and they weren't hippies. They were mods or whatever else they were, beatniks. I don't know. So I never took Scooby-Doo or Shaggy being a hippie at all. So this one just doesn't fly with me at all. I can't even make fun or have fun with this one.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Fred driving the mystery machine because Shaggy is high?
I would really like the idea of Shaggy being a stoner to go away, but I delved into the Reddit thread a bit on this one, and I think one of the first comments that I saw was like, well, or maybe Shaggy painted it for the gang, and then Fred just thought it was so endearing that he just ran with it. And I kind of like the idea of Shaggy being like, look, man, I painted the van. And Fred being like, oh, it's nice. And then that's how the van stayed.
Oh my goodness.
I like that.
I like that. I like that.
That's a good theory.
Cameron, what are your thoughts on Fred driving the mystery machine because Shaggy is high?
I agree with Lexa 100%. If I could give her a high five in real life, I would. I don't like how people throw drug references towards Shaggy being a stoner, and Shaggy and Scooby are in the back, getting high. I hate that so much. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Another thing too is Daphne's dad bought the mystery machine. And that goes way back. Like I've heard it in specials they did, in promos, episodes. Daphne's dad did buy the mystery machine for them, and Fred was the leader. Fred is the leader of Mystery Incorporated. So the leader drives a van. He called the shots. He was, in my opinion, he was one of the best leaders in cartoons, because he knew how to get the job done. He knew how to operate, how the gang operated, and that's basically about it, and he had his driver's license. He drove the van. He made it work. And there you go. And, you know, sometimes they switched out. You know, Shaggy sometimes drove the Mystery Machine. Sometimes Scooby drove the Mystery Machine. You know, like, take, for example, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. You know, Shaggy and Scooby are in the front seat while the rest of the gang were in the back, you know, taking a siesta while they were driving across the desert. You know what I mean? So, but yes, as for talking about like the old generation, like style, like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And the Scooby-Doo show and all that, I just think it was just Daphne's dad, you know, bought the Mystery Machine for them. He was proud of them for, you know, coming together as Mystery Incorporated. Fred was the leader. He drove it. And that's basically it. I mean, what else do you need to know about it? You know, I mean, so that's basically about it.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Fred driving the Mystery Machine?
Oh, I love this one because once again, I'm just going to prove that the theory is impossible because it's BS. Okay. The whole premise of this theory is supposed to be that Fred's driving because Shaggy's the real owner and he's too high. Well, excuse me. 13 Ghosts, Boo Brothers, the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, What's New Scooby-Doo, and also if you want to go classic Scooby to the Scooby-Doo show, The Ghost of the Bad Humor Man, Shaggy's driving the Mystery Machine. Hello. All of these things show Shaggy, specifically Shaggy, driving the Mystery Machine and not Fred. Goodbye theory. I'm sorry. Like, guys, watch some Scooby-Doo before you come up with these ridiculous ideas. Daphne in 13 Ghosts and the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Daphne drives the Mystery Machine quite a bit because Freddy's not even there. Come on. Like, I mean, you're not even trying at this point with these theories, people, because like all you have to do is watch a couple of episodes to know that like you're just full of it. It's like it's not even a theory when I can disprove it for you, like right here and now. So, you know, just go watch Boo Brothers if you want. Opening scene. And like Nikki said, sometimes Scooby, or maybe it was Alexa, somebody said, sometimes Scooby's driving the Mystery Machine. He's a dog. I would think the dog might be more dangerous than a supposed stoner. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be kind of on par at least. So come on, guys. Like, no. Shaggy has driven the Mystery Machine plenty of times, as has Daphne and Scooby, and everyone was fine. So, the end.
Our next theory is Scooby-Doo is set in a fantasy universe with real monsters. And the theory is that most people seem to accept the existence of monsters to the extent that a gang of teenagers are often the only ones who bother to investigate, yet at the same time, nobody really cares. It's as if monsters and supernatural beings are considered ordinary. And then they talked about Scooby and Scrappy are fantasy creatures because they can talk. Shaggy and Scooby are always scared even though they know the villain is a person in a mask. No one really cares that Scooby can talk, and the show implies that supernatural fraud is as common as shoplifting or online piracy. I'm sorry, if I'm being chased by anyone, I am going to be scared too. Like, someone in a mask doesn't mean that, oh, you're just wearing a mask, you're fine. You're not going to do anything bad. Like, someone is chasing you. You should run. I don't care who it is. You should run. Alexa, what are your thoughts on that?
The first thing that I wrote down after monsters exist was, well, naturally. And then I listed Zombie Island, anyone? 13 Ghosts? Like, yeah, obviously they do exist in the Scooby-Doo universe already. But I kind of get the like idea that any type of haunted house now draws a lot of attention. So I get that like it would have to be like a parallel or fantasy universe for to not have like a ton of like media coverage and people like going to check out the haunted house. But I don't know. This one, it's a bit of a stretch, I think.
Cameron, what are your thoughts on Scooby being set in a fantasy universe with real monsters?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like I like, there's that meme that goes around, Scooby-Doo taught us that all, monsters are just human, and I love that. I really do. If I could get that printed off, and one day I will. But the point is, though, is that I do like that. And I've always liked how Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And the Scooby-Doo shows always kept that. Now, when, we jump to Zombie Island and Alien Invaders and it's 13 Ghosts. The monsters were real. I enjoyed that. I really did. I never thought I would, but I really did enjoy that. But one that really doesn't get talked about a lot is Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. If we're really going to go back, and were those monsters really bad? No, they weren't. Miss Grimswood's, school of, monster girls. I mean, you had Canis, you had all, the Mummy and all these girls that went to this school. And Scooby and the Ghoul School is very popular. It's one of the popular movies in the franchise. But they were real monsters. They weren't humans in masks, and it worked, and again, and I say this so I think I'm gonna get one of those rubber bands and just snap my arm as hard as I can every time I say it, but it balances light and dark. Scooby-Doo has balanced light and dark. pop, because I said it 2 times. But they balances light and dark because it works. I mean, 13 Goes to Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, even if they ran with those theories. And guys, we're talking about the 80s. Okay. And parents didn't like, monsters being real. So when they did that, it worked because yet it was still fun. And, then we got Zombie Island, you had some people having some problems with it, even though it was one of the best movies in the franchise. But the point is, though, is I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It kind of branched out a little bit. And again, you have to think not everything was set in one universe. You got the Scoobyverse, Be Cool Scooby-Doo is not the same realm as Scooby-Doo Where Are You? It's just not, because you got some of the Scooby-Doo Where Are You villains popping up in Be Cool Scooby-Doo, and it's completely different mysteries. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. I think there's a Scoobyverse, and there's so many different alterations, so many different stories out there of Scooby-Doo. And I be honest with you, I mean, I would love to see Warner Brothers one day. I don't know if they ever would, but just pick up and say, hey, let's make a Scoobyverse movie where, there's different universes with Scooby-Doo. I think that'd be really stinking cool. But yeah, that's basically what I mean. Am I hitting it right? I mean, was there anything else to that theory that someone added, Nikki? Or yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my little tidbit. So,
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby-Doo being set in a fantasy universe?
Okay, so I kind of riffed on a little bit more that was said in one of the articles about this theory, though, where they said, if monsters don't exist, why is there a business dedicated to catching the fake ones? The fact that Mystery Inc. keeps getting calls implies that, quote, supernatural fraud is an entire category of crime, one that wouldn't make sense or work if people didn't believe in monsters. Okay, so I will say that I am speaking classic Scooby-Doo, meaning I'm even going to go pre 13 Ghosts, because obviously in 13 Ghosts, we do have, they are real. They are legitimately real monsters and stuff. And even in the little Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo shorts, there are monsters in that, and they are real. They're not just people in masks. So let's go pre that classic Scooby-Doo. So Where Are You? New Scooby-Doo movies and the Scooby-Doo show. People aren't calling them to come and solve a mystery for the majority of the time. Like I said earlier, the gang is out living their life and they happen upon these mysteries. They're not running a business. Now, does that happen later in the franchise? Yes. In classic Scooby-Doo, though, that's not a thing. We're walking home from the movies. There's a random truck with a suit of armor in it. How weird. Oh, look, a mystery. Let's solve it. We're out traveling and there's a terrible storm. And for some reason, we can't drive in a thunderstorm. We need to stay somewhere. Oh, look, there's a creepy sanitarium. Let's go stay there. And oops, there just happens to be a creepy mad Dr. Ghost that's, you know what I mean? Trying to smuggle gold into Canada. It is what it is, you know? But people are not coming to the Scooby Gang in classic Scooby-Doo looking for help. The gang is just going around doing their everyday thing, happening upon a mystery, and then helping them solve it. So for classic Scooby, your theory is kind of irrelevant once again, because they're not running a business. And people are not coming to them looking for help. They are offering their help when they happen upon a situation where they see that they can help. So,
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby-Doo being set in a fantasy universe with real monsters?
Yeah, when I read this theory, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like Scooby chasing my tail. I don't know what their point was. But how I kind of saw Scooby-Doo was kind of a modern take of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, right? You had the comic relief of Scooby and Shaggy keeping things light. But when you look at that movie from I think it was in the 40s, it's funny when Abbott and Costello are on the camera in scene, but when they're off the screen, it's a scary movie. That's a very frightening movie. And I think it frightened a lot of people. So when they kind of thought what they should do with Scooby-Doo, they kind of just lightened it up a bit so kids won't be scared. I'm just riffing on my own theory too right now. I'm not saying this is fact or anything. I'm just from what I've talked to from creators of Scooby-Doo that I've talked on my own, they've always had that movie as an influence. So I'm just kind of taking, I'm just jabbering on here. But yeah, this theory was just meh. It just didn't really fly with me either.
Our next theory is Shaggy and Scooby are paid actors. And this theory is from Kingo15 on Reddit from 5 years ago. The theory is that Scooby and Shaggy play a role the moment they arrive at the scene in order to trick the culprit, which they know will be present. Fred then tactically separates Shaggy and Scooby from the group, who resume their role as bumbling, terrified idiots. Shaggy and Scooby are terrified of ghosts, even though they turn out not to be real. Shaggy and Scooby are used as easy targets to lure the ghosts, and the ghost believes Shaggy and Scooby are really scared and thinks that he has the upper hand, which distracts him and makes him fall for the trap. Cameron, what are your thoughts on Shaggy and Scooby are paid actors?
I'm not gonna lie, I've got a lot on this. First and foremost, okay, you think about Hanna-Barbera, they created Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Because, it was just, 4 kids in a mystery machine with a dog, and they went around and solved mysteries. That's how life was. That's how they came together. But then I start to think, well, hold on, what do you think about Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood? They filmed those shows. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I never really liked about Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. I love the movie. I love the movie so much, but I never liked how they portrayed the gang as like, oh, that's our TV show. It's like, no, that should be your everyday life. But no, it was like, remember that time Scooby-Doo got us out of all those mysteries on TV, and it's like on TV, so then it was like they were acting as a TV show. I forget what it was, but even too, when they think about Scooby-Doo, Where Are You Now? I mean, I wasn't crazy about that reiteration they did for their 50th anniversary. I think they could have done a little better. Point is, though, is that they said that was too, Scooby-Doo and the gang were that was their TV show. It wasn't their everyday life. I've never been a fan of this theory, even if it's not Scooby-Doo, whether it's something else, whether when you're watching that show, I like to think of that world, that universe that the characters are in. And then when you have the character actually playing the actual character, and then they turn to the camera and say, well, hey, boys and girls, if you're watching this, knowing that they're in a TV show, that spoils the fun. I hate that so much. And it's happened on Disney shows. It's happened in Cartoon Network. It's cartoons and even just regular everyday television shows. And I've never enjoyed that. I just like to think of Scooby-Doo and the gang as that was their life. They, they, like Wendy said on our earlier topic, they stumbled upon mysteries. It was fate. It was destiny. That's what they were supposed to do. That's what made them Mystery Incorporated. They went around, they solved these mysteries, and they helped people. But then you start looking at Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood and other things where they're saying they are, paid actors, and they have to, because the one thing that always sticks in my mind is like the beginning of Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood, where Daphne's walking and she's like, I think I can't remember this line, or it was either her or Velma, and then they're like, oh, just like go to this script. So they're reading a script for their show, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Like, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of irked me a little bit. I'm just like, no, you're not paid actors. Go get in the mystery machine. It's real. It's all real. So that's how I kind of view it, to be honest with y'all. But I mean, like I said, I could go down another rabbit hole with it, but I like to think that that's how they were. That's how they came to be. You know, they're not paid actors. No, that's their real life. That's what they do. Again, I'm a 24-year-old man talking about this, but that's what I believe, and I'm gonna stick to it. So that's all I have to say about it.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby and Shaggy being paid actors?
So yeah, the theory behind this is that they're acting scared so they can trap the ghost, but that's just never how it occurs in Scooby-Doo at first. They get chased around first, and then Freddy or Velma or someone else comes up with a plan to trap the ghost. So why go through all this rigmarole for 20 minutes and then come up with your trap if they're just acting? And then just taking something from Wendy's book, I hope you're not mentioning this, Wendy, but just to prove this theory wrong, there's that episode, I can't remember the name, but it's the one they go in the mystery machine, they ship it across by boat, I think, to South America or somewhere, and there's some conquistador and he's shooting cannons with something in it, and that one they encounter the ghost, and then they decide finally to lie so they can get away to Freddy, Daphne, and Velma. They lied to them saying, oh no, we didn't see any ghost, and yeah, that just proves they're not acting. Otherwise they'd fully admit they saw the ghost, in my book. That's all I got.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Shaggy and Scooby being paid actors?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of that episode, but it's the ghost of Juan Carlos.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
isn't it from
one.
Scooby? Yeah, I think it's the Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo
It is,
show.
Yeah.
I just can't think of the name of it.
No.
Oh my gosh. My big problem with this one is that if this theory were true, I feel like it kind of destroys the inner character of Scooby and the gang, and it completely destroys the heart of that show, which is people helping other people out of the goodness of their heart, not because they're getting something out of it, but because it's the right thing to do and they want to do it. As soon as we make Shaggy and Scooby or any of the Scooby characters into actors, now they're being paid to do something, and it completely destroys the idea that someone could just do something because it's the right thing to do. And I think that completely betrays everything that Scooby stands for, because I think if you were going to take Scooby-Doo and boil it down to its absolute essence, what were we trying to do with this show for kids? What is the core message that we wanted to like drive home to them and try to teach them? And I think it was meant to be help other people, not because there's something in it for you, but because it's the right thing to do. And if you see that you can help, because sometimes you might need help, and you will be very, very appreciative if someone comes along and is like, here, let me help you. I don't want anything from you. Just let me help you, please. I can help. And I really just think that, no, Scooby's not a real thing. Like, we all know it's just a show. It's just made up. But I really do think that intellectual property sometimes should be treated like it's a real person. I think that we should respect a character and a character's internal character, their integrity, because Scooby and the gang have integrity. And whether they're real people or they're just imaginary, it's irrelevant. Scooby is an entity unto itself. It exists in our world. He doesn't have to be like a real life dog. He still is an actual, a tangible thing in our minds, and we can see it. There's a visual involved, you know? And so I think that we would do a great disservice to that intellectual property, and by extension, all of the people who created it with something in mind. And I think we're just disrespecting them at this point if we want to suggest a theory like this, that the gang is just acting and they're not really scared and we're getting paid and all this kind of stuff, because now they aren't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They are doing it only because they're getting something out of it and because they're being told to do it. And now it's not Scooby-Doo anymore. It's not Scooby-Doo because you've ripped Scooby's soul out and you've thrown it away. He doesn't have a soul anymore because that is the soul of Scooby. What is inside of their heart, why they do what they do. Motive matters. They're not getting paid. They're not being coerced. They're doing it because they want to, and they're helping people. So I don't like this theory because it just destroys everything to do with that. And I think that we should be protecting that. That's why I also don't like modern iterations of Scooby when they want to meddle. I think that's a perfect word too, because it's Scooby. They want to meddle around and they want to change the integrity of the characters. And I don't think you should do that. If you want a character to have a different level of integrity, fine, make your own character. But Scooby has spent 50 years establishing himself the way that his creators intended him to be, and we need to respect that. Scooby is not our property. Scooby is the property of the people who created him. He is just on loan to us. And I really think it is important, as someone who creates things for a living, it's very difficult when someone doesn't respect what you've created. Now, maybe you think you can do better, and maybe you can do better, but the fact is you cannot replicate what I have made. You can only make your own version of it, and we shouldn't be comparing them, and we shouldn't be trying to change each other's. So you have your thing and I'll have mine, and it's fine if we have opposing opinions, but you need to respect my intellectual property. I need to respect yours. And I think that we really, as fans of Scooby-Doo, I get it. People want something new and that's fine. But I do think that we need to keep in mind Scooby and the gang need to maintain their integrity. Otherwise, they are no longer Scooby and the gang, and the soul of the show just is gone. And without a soul, it's not alive, you know? And Scooby as a TV show and as a character is very much alive to all of us, I think. And I don't think that that's silly. I think that's totally fine. You know, you create something and you put it out into the world for people to enjoy and get something out of. Let's keep getting the thing we're supposed to get out of Scooby out of him. Let's not rip his soul out and throw it away for something else, you know? So I find this theory a little bit offensive to Scooby's integrity. And I don't think that we should go down that route at all.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Shaggy and Scooby being paid actors?
I don't think it would be a good gig. Like, why would you even want to do that as an actor? Like, you're not really getting that much out of it, so it doesn't really make sense. And also, like, the ghosts are scary. Like, I've said it before, like, I would be scared. And like, it's not that Fred and Daphne and Velma aren't scared. They're just like, sometimes they'll see through the logic of it sooner than Shaggy and Scooby might. But yeah, I don't like this one.
Again, with this one, I mean, they're gonna run from someone that's chasing them. It's just natural. Like, if you're being chased by somebody and you know that it's a person and not a ghost, are you just going to stand there and wait to see what they do to you? No, you're going to run. It's instinct, fight or flight, you know? Our final theory is Green Room is just a gritty Scooby-Doo reboot. Wendy, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I don't even know what Green Room is. I didn't even bother to look it up because I had something to say based on this line from the theory. The Scooby-Doo franchise is about a team that was supposed to be a band with a van that squares off against evil old men who could also theoretically be Nazis. Okay, so because I have a list, I'm going to just read it. So remember, evil old men is what they said. This is what they're basing this on. So I guess Sarah Jenkins, Foul Play in Funland, Aggie Wilkins, Ozark Witch Switch, Arlene's twin sister into Switcher Witch, Mama Mione in the case of Creepy Case of Old Iron Face, Mrs. Baker from the dynamic Scooby Duo affair, Alice Dovely in the gruesome game of the Gator Ghoul, Nanette Musette in the Nutcracker Scoob, and 13 Ghosts, Queen Morbidia, Zomba, Nakara, Marcella. I guess that they don't count as villains because they're not evil old men, but they're women. Kind of, I mean, for your theory to work, all the villains kind of have to be evil old men. And this isn't even all of the female villains. It's just the majority of them. So right then and there, again, I feel like you really should have watched the show before you came up with some kind of ridiculous theory about it, because there are plenty of really awesome female villains. They're not old men. So I'm sorry. What else do I need to say about your theory other than you're wrong?
Alexa, do you have anything to add about Green Room?
No, I don't. I haven't seen the movie. I won't watch it. I'm not a horror movie fan. Yeah, I don't have anything to add on that one.
Joel, do you have anything to add about Green Room?
I guess with this theory, they're kind of going off the original idea, I guess my understanding, the original concept of Scooby-Doo was, before it came out, that they were in a band traveling around. At least that's what one of my books says. And we saw that later with the Archies, and we saw it on Happy Days on some episodes, and we saw it with Josie and the Pussycats, and it was just common back then. Everyone traveled in a van, and this movie Green Room is a movie from 2015. It takes place in 2015, and it's about a punk band. I've seen the movie. I don't recommend it. I liked it, but it's violent, it's graphic, and this punk band. It's a smart movie because usually when you're watching these movies, horror movies, people are making dumb decisions. But in this movie, this punk band, they witness a murder while they're playing their concert, and then they just try and get the hell out of there. And every move they make is a smart decision, but it's a movie. It doesn't really work out for them necessarily. And I don't see Scooby having any connection to this movie at all, really, other than that one concept is that from way back when, before the movie or the TV show came out, that they were potentially a band. And that's all I got.
So when you watched Green Room, did you get like a Scooby vibe at all?
Absolutely not. No, this is it's Patrick Stewart from, he's Captain Picard, right? He plays a neo-Nazi. He's the leader of this skinhead group, and he's a very menacing performance in this movie. And it's a dark movie. No comedy at all. No Scooby snacks in this one.
Cameron, do you have anything to add about the movie Green Room being a Scooby-Doo reboot?
I have never seen Green Room, but I can guarantee you I pick up more Scooby-Doo references in Stranger Things than I would in a cheesy movie. By the way, it's a good series. No, if you're going to watch a horror movie, go watch Silver Bullet. Such a good movie. And then come talk to me about it. Anyways, not the point, though. Point is, though, something I do want to say, and I love what Wendy brought up, is that, basically, the theory about, just creepy old men. I will have to say something, and I'm glad I'm bringing this up. I hate how, like, in today's society, people are saying, like, that Scooby-Doo didn't have like any cultural diversity, and Scooby-Doo was not like, it was just portraying to like men being villains and not women. Like, no, I'm sorry, but Scooby-Doo did very well for it back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they had men villains and they had women villains. You know what I mean? They had people different color on screen. You know what I mean? So I think that Scooby-Doo was a great representation. Now, like I said, I haven't seen this Green Room movie, but I hate how people, like, they see something like a movie nowadays, and then it's like, oh, like, that's basically Scooby-Doo in real life. Well, I'm sorry, but unless it's an actual representation of kids going around solving mysteries, and I'm sorry, but, even if it's kids going around solving mysteries and there's a murderer and they're about to get murdered, that's not what this is. Like, even if a ghost chased Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and the gang back then, like when they caught Daphne or they caught Shaggy and Scooby, they didn't kill him. You know what I mean? They tied him up, put him in a closet, or they tied him up and, you know, store him away somewhere and, you know, don't say anything, or, you know, that's what the ghost did. It wasn't violent, you know? So I think Scooby-Doo and, you know, back then did a great job of, you know, I'll be honest with y'all. I think they did a fantastic job of being scary back then. I mean, look at Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats. I'm 24 years old. I watch that to this day, and I mean, it terrifies me when that vampire laughs, or Mamba Wamba and the Voodoo Hoodoo. Like, you know, that episode's a little freaky when you stop and think about it. You know what I mean? Or the Dr. Coffin episode, you know, the Harem Scarum Sanitarium. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. I've got so many things in my mind. But the point is, though, is that there was horror genre back then, but it wasn't violent horror genre. You know, I love watching a good horror movie, but I don't love violent horror movies. I think you can watch a good horror movie and it doesn't have to be everybody's heads being chopped off every 5 seconds and everybody's getting mutilated. I don't like those movies, to be honest with y'all. I love it when there's a good story. And I know I was joking around in the beginning, like Watch Silver Bullet, but I love that movie because I actually picked up Scooby-Doo vibes from that movie, because it was like, it's set in a town and there was a mystery afoot and there was a werewolf and this boy on this wheelchair had to form a team and they had to go figure out, you know, it was a mystery, but it wasn't don't get me wrong, there, like, the werewolf was killing people, but the point is, though, it wasn't like just super like blood, gory, like guts everywhere. Like, no, like, it was like, you know, it was a good story. And I think that's, back then, Scooby-Doo told a good story. Was it scary? You bet it was scary. And like Nikki said, if somebody's chasing you in real life, don't just stand there. Run, get out of there. And that's what Scooby-Doo and the gang did. Like, they ran from the monster. Yeah, and knowing that it may have been a person in a mask, they still ran. You know what I mean? But they came back together, they set a trap, and it always worked. Look, Scooby-Doo's always had a formula. You know, the gang stumble upon a mystery. You know, they run around, they try to find clues, they run away from the monster. You know, there's a catchy little theme song. You know, there's funny, you know, things here and there. Then they finally find the final clues. They trap the monster and they unmask the monster. I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for meddling kids. The police officer hauls them off, and the gang help the people, and they drive away and off into the sunset, or they have a laugh, and then the episode ends. That formula works. If you think for any reason that formula needs to change, it does not need to change. You know, it works well. So I guess I know I'm rambling a little bit, but and honestly, off this theory, you know, what was the theory again?
It was about the
See, I'm
movie
rambling.
Green Room being a reboot of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I'd never seen Green Room, so oh my god, I'm rambling. But anyways, that's where I'm. Oh my god, I need to quit talking. But anyways, the point is, I've never seen Green Room, and I don't think it. No, we're good. That's all I have to say. My god. Oh, this is what happens when you live in a ranch in the middle of nowhere in Texas. You just want to talk to people. So, golly.
So I think we've disproven most of these theories, or all of these theories, really. And I think we've come to the conclusion that if you're going to have or make a Scooby-Doo theory, that you need to do research and understand what you're talking about. And like Wendy said, we need Bradford to take all of these theories and write something. I think that's a great idea. So. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to add? Wendy?
I kind of just want to reiterate something that Cam said earlier, which is, like, people get a life. I'm sorry, but I'm sure there are people who are saying that about us. Like, we're 5 adults sitting, you know, on a Saturday night filming about talking Scooby-Doo stuff. But you know what? Like, we all have lives, and we are doing this because this is something we enjoy, and you need to have things in your life that you enjoy. But some of these theories, all of these theories, like, guys, you could do better. I do feel like there is a time and a place for fan theories for cartoons and shows and stuff where you could have like a lot of fun with it. I'm just perplexed at the things that people choose to make their theories about. You know, I really I don't know what to say to people. Like, what are you doing that this is your free time? Like, our free time, we're spending time with each other and we're laughing and we're having a good time. And you're sitting contemplating a dog going to space for the Russians because he can talk. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm quite happy with my life. I don't think I need a different one, but I think maybe some people could use a little bit of a tweak in theirs to you know, like, make it fun. Okay, I feel like none of these theories tonight were any fun, like, at their core, and that's a problem. Okay, do something good, put something good out into the world. Like, what's with all this negativity and evil and just like bleh kind of stuff? You know, if what you're talking about is not going to make anybody feel good or feel better, then why are you doing it? Get a life. Go do something fun. Go have a milkshake. I don't, now I want a milkshake. That's what I want.
That's good.
But you know, go do something that puts something good out into the world, and you might be surprised at all the good things that you get back, because I feel like the people that are writing these theories, like, they seem very sad. And I mean that in a serious way. They seem like maybe they are very sad people that don't have a lot of positive things to think about, and that is very sad. Go find some people like us. Not necessarily us in particular, though, because I don't really want to talk to the people that came up with these theories, to be perfectly honest. I'm not looking to be friends with you, and I'm not sure anybody else here is either. But go find a group of people that that can show you that you can have fun. You can have fun with stuff. We're not sticks in the mud, you know, we can laugh about stuff, but, like, just do something positive with your life. Please, for the sake of everyone.
Alexa, do you have any final thoughts on the fan theories?
Yeah, I think that if you haven't watched Scooby-Doo in years and you're like at 2 a.m. and you're like, hey, like, remember that show with like the dog? And I think maybe he came from Russia. Just go to bed. Like, just go to sleep. Don't overanalyze it for like 3 hours.
Joel, do you have any final thoughts?
I do, but not related to the theories. Fortunately, hasn't bled through, but every time Alexa's name is mentioned, my Amazon little hockey puck named Alexa keeps adding Scooby-Doo stuff to my Amazon account. So if you're watching and it's doing the same, just check your Amazon account. Make sure you're not buying like buttloads of Scooby-Doo merchandise, which isn't a bad thing, but
Oh my
you don't want that on your credit card bill all at once.
Cameron, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, don't do drugs, people. If you're listening, don't do drugs, because I guarantee those people. Hang on real quick. Sorry, if these people are making these theories, they're probably on some hardcore drugs or they're high. So kids, adults, mothers, fathers, whoever's listening, don't do drugs, and educate yourself. If you're going to talk about Scooby-Doo and you haven't seen, like Alexa said, if you're going to talk about Scooby-Doo and you haven't watched Scooby-Doo in a long time, like, then don't talk about it. You know, like, I'm not going to go start talking about Harry Potter. And I'll be honest with y'all, I don't really watch Harry Potter, and I'm not saying anything. If you watch Harry Potter, great, but like, I'm not going to go off and talk about, what's the school's name that they go to? Is it
Hogwarts?
Yeah, that's right. That's it. See, I don't even know about it. Should I go make a theory? Hell no. Go to bed. Go to bed, like Alexa said. Okay. Y'all have a good night. Just saying. Good Lord.
All right, we are going to wrap things up. But before we do, if you guys can let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Alexa, we'll start with you.
You can find me on Twitter at UnmaskedSD, on Instagram at UnmaskedSDPodcast, or at UnmaskedSDPodcast.com.
Joel?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search for Planet Scooby.
Wendy?
On Instagram, I'm at Wendy Bridge. Twitter and my blog is Wendy Loves Jesus.
Cameron?
You guys can find me at Scooby and Cam on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Stop by and say hello. I love talking about Scooby-Doo.
And you can find all my links on ScoobyAddicts.com. If you have any comments or anything you want to say or any fan theories that you've come up with, let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us for another Scooby Panel. Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby Panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Ross from ScoobyFan.net, Carson Maitland-Smith, Scooby-Doo of Roblox, and Ruth Elliott Hillston. If you would like to support the Scooby Panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to Alexa Lawlor, host of the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast, Joel from Planet Scooby, artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy Bridge, and Cameron Bates from Scooby-Doo and Cameron Too. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms or as a web series on YouTube. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Music composed and performed by Bovine Nightmares. Please join us next time for another Scooby Panel.